you guys? How y'all doing today? Well, baby, if your name is Sean Diddy Combs, people are saying, reporting that you are furious at your legal team. Y'all, get in here. We got to talk. They're also saying that Diddy is anxious and depressed about the prison sentence. I mean, is anybody happy to go to prison? But more importantly, Diddy is not anxious and depressed about the prison. He's anxious and depressed about going broke. And this is said to have thrown a monkey wrench in his appeal plans. Y'all, sit down. We got to talk because, baby, it looks like this money train that Diddy is on is drying up, and he is begging for quietly, this is what the streets are saying, for any of his high-powered friends that couldn't stand beside him in the courtroom to maybe let him hold 50,000, 5 million or more so that he can go with his plea. Okay, you guys, we got into a lot, but let's break this down one at a time. All right. First of all, let's talk about that sentencing, right? Because as much as Diddy's team wanted to be like, he didn't have a speaking engagement, he had a speaking appearance, and they tried to spin it. You did have speaking engagements planned, and you had speaking engagements planned for that Monday. Now, why would he do something so stupid? Because in my mind, I'm like, that's just disrespectful to the court. It's like breaking up with someone and you got your new man across the street waiting to pick you up. It's just unnecessarily disrespectful. But why did he do that? They're saying that Diddy is actually furious with his legal team because they promised him that he would walk away with time served. Now, here's the thing. I think Diddy might have heard them wrong because I don't think any lawyer of that caliber in any way would be like, absolutely 100%, you're going home. And even if they did, Diddy, why would you believe them? You have allegedly spent somewhere between 10 and 20 million for the trial. Pre-trial, going forward, each lawyer had a retainer of at least $1 million. And the bigger ones had even more. And that was just the retainer, baby. They blew through that money. Diddy had about 7 lawyers plus their paralegals. His appeal lawyers, that's 3 more. Now you're up to 10. Easily retainers, 10 million off the bat, and that is on the low end, and that's not even counting billable hours. And Diddy has been fighting this thing for a while. Now, you got what you paid for because you could have been sitting there on RICO charges. You should be thanking God that you only got 3 years, but Diddy thinks he is a god. He thinks he is a king. So he still, even though he cried in front of Judge Submarinian, I'll take any punishment you give me. Just let me see my kids. And he said, all right, mofo, I'll show you some mercy. You got 4 years, right? And Diddy literally, his lawyers went outside and showed their patooties and said, this is a travesty. The judge was the 13th juror. Thank God, because, baby, the first 12, I don't think they got it right. Anyway, right? Let's get back into this. Anyway, so Diddy is super, super, super upset. They literally said, and this is according to the Inquirer, they said Diddy's in total shock right now. A source tells the Inquirer that Diddy, who was sentenced to 50 months or more, right? 50 months and 5 years probation. Even though, side note, if I was Diddy, I would be worried about that 5 years probation more than anything. Because let me tell you something, the federal government don't leave well enough alone. Diddy has addiction issues, right? And everybody knows you can get rugs in jail, and you're going to need something to get you through. And you did it for fun. You're going to come out and deal with the shame because everybody knows what you're into. Yeah, you're going to have a few low-life losers, right, standing by you, but they was losers to begin with. You didn't want to be associated with them. You wanted to be standing next to Ron Burkle, Jay-Z, the DNC, right? You wanted to be there with the community, speaking out, being a civil. You wanted to be on some grown, sexy, respected mess. All these lowlifes defending you right now, you didn't even want them around you when you was out free. So you definitely don't want to be associated with them now. Okay, right? So, but then also, okay, he is into some mess. He likes the escorts. He likes the party life. For 5 years, you cannot have another freak off Or if you do, they're going to have to turn into consensual freak-offs. If you even step the wrong foot, raise a hand at someone, try to do anything illegal, all they got to do is go report you to the police, and baby, you are bye, bye, bye. See, here's the thing. People are coming down for Judge Aaron in the sentence, but y'all, the devil is in that 5 years probation, because I think Diddy's going to be up to his old tricks. You know, I mean, hopefully these 3 years are enough to make him repent. But a lot of issues he has are like, they seem like compulsions. But, you know, time will tell. Time will tell. Okay. So anyway, but that 5 years, baby, the government is going to be on his ass. Anyway, they said Diddy's in total shock right now. He really believed he'd get out with time served. His lawyers promised. Adds another source, noting that Diddy was so confident that he'd be a free man again that he booked a speaking gig for the week after a sentencing hearing. First of all, everybody's misquoting that. From what I heard sitting in court, it wasn't just one speaking engagement. He had a tour planned. And this is, I'm sure he was going to write a book, make a movie, have a comeback. I would say throw a Madison Square Garden show, but to do what? Because didn't nobody buy the Love album? And they can't. And you saw what happened with the Bad Boy reunion tour. Ain't nobody coming to hear you sing Diddy. They was coming for everybody else on that Bad Boy reunion tour. Now get this. Diddy was so confident. They said now all his plans are in limbo, adding that his rumored comeback tour and all the other deals he had in place are on hold. On hold? How about they just crumbled to dirt? They just covered for dirt. Now, here's the thing. They're saying that Diddy is completely worried about running out of money, right? Because he has nearly 70 civil lawsuits. While his criminal suit, they're saying costs anywhere between 15 to 20 million in legal fees. This is what the New York Post reported. He's terrified of coming out of jail totally broke. Now, here's the thing. I can see why. Because when you go for bail, the one thing a lot of people overlooked in that bail hearing, but if y'all are new to my channel, listen, let me catch y'all up. Because if you aren't new to the channel, I've been talked about this. When you go on bail, you actually see what people's liquid assets are. Now, don't get me wrong. Diddy got 2 mortgages on that $30 million house in California. Star Island, both properties are worth like $50 million. A lot. He got that jet. He's renting it out. He got a few cars. Yes, he has assets. But anybody that with assets know assets cost money to maintain. And a lot of rich people lose everything because they buy stuff, but they don't have the liquid assets to maintain it. What are a person's liquid assets? Well, that's what Diddy needs right now to pay his lawyers, to fund his kids' lifestyle, to keep Miami and them on payroll. I mean, Miami says she's not single. She started taking like Instagram live calls from people in jail. I think she's trying to prep for her man to keep him afloat. Even though if you putting this much effort into keeping Diddy's afloat and you calling it love, why don't you just work on your, like, go film some more episodes of Carisha, please. But you know, none of my business. Let's get back on Diddy, right? So Diddy needs money to keep everything afloat. He got 11 kids, according to him in court. He support all of them, right? He got cute little baby love. He got Dana. He got a lot of mouths to feed, right? The thing is, when he put up his bail, he only had 50 million to give in bail. And I know, hear me out, 50 million is a lot of money. I hope one day to have 50 million in my bank account. No Diddy. But the thing is, with big money, big assets come big bills. That 50 million is all the liquid cash that Diddy has. All of it. All the brand deals, all the endorsements, all the trademarks. Don't forget Diageo or whatever, the liquor company, they cut him off. Revolt, right? They cut him off too. All of his cash avenues, his everything has slowed down. So he got 50 million to make it work. Now, out of that 50 million, he's already spent 20 million, roundabout, on legal fees. Now, here's where it comes in. Is that appeal ever going to happen? Because I brought this up on live. Appeals take 2 years, usually, on average, to get in front of a court. Diddy, once you add in time served and time off for good behavior, that's anywhere between 2 and 2.5 years that he'll end up serving, assuming he gets time off for good behavior, okay? They said for good behavior, you can take a year, take 2 months off of each year, so every year you count it as 10 months, right? So he'll end up serving somewhere between 20, 25 months, okay? Maybe up to 30 months. Okay, well, actually, yeah, somewhere between 20 and 25 months. Okay, right? So here's the thing. You're already running low on cash because that $50 million was every penny you had. You still got to pay those mortgages on the house. You still got to pay the payments on the plane. You still got to pay the school tuition fees. You have to pay everything. So even though that, let's just say it's $20 million, that $50 million, you got to pay tax on it too. So let's just say out of that $20 million that you paid, okay, and if you are found guilty of certain criminal offenses, you can't even write off the legal fees, all right? So you got $20 million, let's say tax, let's just say after that $50 million, you have $30 million left. You already let $20 million go. You might have between 20 and 15 million. That's a lot, but not if you don't know where your next paycheck's coming from. And you honestly don't know. And you're going to be on probation for the next 5 years. And that probation, they're probably not going to let you go overseas and do a bad boy reunion tour. What am I trying to say? They are now saying that Diddy is looking at whether he's even going to spend the money on the appeal. Because does he have the money to spend $5 million, maybe $8 million on an appeal? Appeals are notoriously expensive. On an appeal, to go through all this again. And what will the appeal do? Maybe get you out 5 months early? Now, depending on what jail he goes to, because you know Judge Aaron said no, that 5 months might be the world to Diddy, okay? But if you know that you have a fixed amount of money, and you don't know when your next dollar is coming in, and you know you got a whole world of bills and expenses, and maybe get down to your last 15 million, which is a lot, 15, 20 million, but would you take 8 out of that for something that maybe at best could get you out maybe 5, 6 months early at best? Because again, most appeals, the earliest you can be heard with an appeal is a year. Most appeals get heard after 2 years. Yeah, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. Anyway, you guys, listen, shout out to Diddy. I hope the MDC is treating him well. He said he ended gang violence and everybody gets along. And he said he's changing lives with free game with Diddy. So I guess he's busy doing the Lord's work. All he need to do is, listen, put on a lace front. He already wanted to be all the girls he tortured. All he need to do is put a lace front on, clip it till it's like a nice bob hitting those shoulders, and he can be the Jesus of the MDC, freeing people from their sins. But all jokes aside, listen, I know Diddy's going through it. The judge said, nah, you're not going to Fort Dix, but I'll send you to another prison in the New York area. Diddy is not going for that. He wants to be in Fort Dix, I think, because he doesn't want to be shaken down. I think he doesn't want to be extorted. I think he wants to be in Fort Dix for protection. But regardless, yeah, Diddy's team should have just quietly filed an appeal instead of trying to disrespect Judge Aaron out on the courthouse. Because, see, here's the thing. Judge Aaron can send Diddy anywhere he wants. And it's legally protected. Sometimes you just get, I don't know. I think that was a dumb move. But then again, now it makes sense why they were cursing Diddy out on the steps of the courthouse. Cursing Judge Aaron out on the steps of the courthouse. Because they had took 20 million from this fool, estimated, and he still has to serve. Yeah. It all makes sense now. Anyway, I guess they took Diddy's name and changed it in their phone, right? Because for a second I thought they had Diddy saved in their phone as Food Ninja because they was eating off of him. But now I guess they'll change it to take the money in advance because Mr. Combs might be broke soon enough. Anyway, y'all, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.